engaging celebrity interviews, exciting updates from Christian filmmakers, movie reviews so you can choose your movies wisely, and so much more here on Faith on Film with Isaac Hernandez and Holly McClure.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Faith on Film. We've got a fun show. How you doing, Holly?
A really fun show with great people to interview. It's so interesting today.
Yes, the first one is going to be me interviewing a gentleman named James Barrington. Now, he is the star of a movie called The Firing Squad, which, by the way, also stars Kevin Sorbo and Cuba Gooding. The movie is based on the true story of 3 condemned inmates facing execution in an Indonesian prison and how they find unexpected solace as they embrace their faith and discover the power of hope and forgiveness, and how their joy in Christ results in a stunning conclusion. So you've really got to watch that movie to see what that stunning conclusion is. And then, of course, you had a chance to interview Chris Sanders, who is the director of a movie, an animated movie called The Wild Robot, and that's going to be a fun one as well.
The fun one. He's a big time. He's done so many movies that you guys have seen. You're going to love it. But we got to watch the trailer first, right?
Yep, let's watch the trailer to The Firing Squad.
Do you ever wake up and realize your life has no purpose?
Do I have a death wish? Morgan asked. Maybe I did. I thought this would be our final run ever. We had made millions and millions of dollars. But God had other plans.
Peter Lowe, the one-time drug dealer turned pastor, along with 2 others, will be executed at 12 midnight local time.
The next day, something strange happened. Someone came up to me and gave me this flyer about Jesus.
You can be in heaven, or you can be in hell. The choice is yours.
We're gonna walk straight out of here, pretend to be the media.
This pathetic maggot got caught, tried to escape my prison. Nobody escapes my prison.
He's a changed person. He's a new man.
I found Christ in here, and he forgave me.
I found Christ too.
My name is Peter Lowe, and I will be executed in 2 hours. Why am I being executed, you ask?
Jesus is for free, and salvation is a gift. Do you believe in Jesus?
James, welcome to Faith on Film.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh, you bet. You know what? We just finished watching the trailer, of course, to the movie that we're going to be talking about today, The Firing Squad. Now, The Firing Squad is based on a true story of 3 Christian prisoners that literally were about to be executed, I guess, in an Indonesian prison. Can you give us a little bit more detail maybe about what the movie is all about?
Sure. So it's about 3 men who, they all had different lives, but my character, Peter Lowe, was a drug runner, drug smuggler, from in between Australia, America, and Europe, going into Asia. Making millions and millions of dollars a month and living the fast life, sports cars, private jets, 5-star hotels, the best restaurants. And unfortunately, he gets caught. With drugs whilst he was leaving an Indonesia airport. And then he gets sentenced to death by firing squad. And the film is about his journey throughout the prison system, his experiences there, and how he finds, he's an atheist when he gets arrested, but he finds God with another prisoner, Kevin Sorbo's character, who is the pastor of that jail, and he becomes a pastor himself and finds redemption through Christ.
Oh, wow. Now, Why do you think it's important to tell this story through film?
Well, I think media is the number one storyteller and teacher in many ways for all walks of life today. I think that's where everyone gets. I say everyone, but most people get their information from today is the media, whether it's from your phone or the internet or TV or film.
That's true.
What a best way to show this story through the narrative of a motion picture.
That's true. I've always said that filmmaking or films are probably one of the greatest tools that we have right now as Christians, because there's a lot of people that are not going to come to church. I mean, let's face it. We can invite them all we want, but they won't come. But you know what? You can invite them to go see a movie, and next thing you know is they're getting a great story of redemption of Christ through this movie. Now, Are there any primary themes that kind of run throughout this movie?
I would say that the main theme that runs through the film is that, this is a story about for my character, for one, who had millions, literally he was making millions and millions of dollars a month. It's a true story. And he was very, neglectful on accepting God into his life. He gets arrested, and at his worst, darkest times, that's when he accepts God, and so I think that's to tell you something, that no matter how much money he had and all the fruits of his labor that he received, that being sentenced to death, there's only one. You're only going to meet your maker, right? And we all have a death sentence. So him accepting God is a huge lesson, I think, for everybody to take.
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you one thing. I think it would be so much better for people to accept Christ without having to first be sent to prison and possibly be put to death. But you know what? If that's where God has to reach you, then I guess that's where he has to reach you. Now, I grew up in the church, so I never had to go to prison or anything of that
sort. Thankfully. Same. Thank the Lord.
Now, I imagine there's been some screenings that have been done of the movie prior to it coming out. What was the reaction of some of the people that attended those screenings?
Oh, wow. Emotional would be one word to use to describe it. People, a lot of people said they were weeping, they were crying, they were sobbing throughout the film, especially towards the end. But a lot of people said it hit them on a level they didn't expect. And it reached out to them that maybe I've spoken to some people that I went to a screening in Times Square, and they said, look, this was a film that they needed at the time. And they were looking out for a message, and that message got delivered through the film.
Wow. Is there anything in particular, perhaps, that resonated with people? Any area of the film, any scene, anything specific that maybe the people just really took to heart the most?
I think there's a scene in with Cuba Gooding Jr. and I, where he belts out an incredible rendition of Amazing Grace that's sung with the inmates of the prison, which is actually a true account of actually what happened in Indonesia. So that's whilst we're being led out to firing squads. So that's very poignant.
Wow. No, I'm a huge fan of Cuba Gooding. Probably one of my favorite ones, of course, is Show Me the Money.
Yeah, Jerry Maguire.
How was it working with Cuba?
I mean, I probably put it down as one of the best days of my entire life, or the best day, numerous days with him. It was to describe it, to compare it, it was a bit like, if you were training to be an NBA basketball player, right, and you're fortunate enough to make it to the NBA, and you're kind of working your way up there, but then walks on is LeBron James, and then you're playing along him. That's what it felt like. It's like, he is just everything, his charisma, everything about him, his aura, his energy that he brought to the set was like no other.
Now, so let's go into it behind the scenes a little bit. Is there anything that maybe you can share? Any interesting stories, whether it be funny stories or even just some real, how would I say, just dramatic stories of what might have happened as you guys were doing some of this filming?
It was a scene with Cuba and I where he, like my character, he was pushing away the concept and the idea of accepting God in the prison. And whilst I'm already converted, I am the pastor of the prison at this stage of the story. He comes to me and he says, I accepted God last night, and it was the scene is because that he found out whilst he's in jail that he lost his father. Now that touched to me, because it turned out that he really did lose his father a few years ago, and that scene with him, it's raw, it's pure emotion. I saw it immediately when I'm looking at him and he's saying the lines and the script. It's like, wow, I felt it immediately. So that's actually a real pure emotion that he actually experienced on true life.
Now, the movie, of course, is not a comedy movie. It's a dramatic movie, but I remember seeing at least a couple of rather comedic scenes. One of them in particular was when you guys were escaping prison. How was that for you guys?
You know what? It's a great scene that the director Tim Shea introduced to the film, which is I think is a great idea, because it like you say, it's not a comedy, but it lightens the mood that you needed. You need that bit. It's like, it's a bit heavy, but this really did make people chuckle. And it's a funny scene where we try and escape out of the prison, and Cuba's character is the person that leads that escape, and we're trying to basically sneak out being journalists, and we've kind of put on some lost property suits. So it's quite ironic that I entered the prison as some multi-millionaire drug dealer who's wearing $10,000 tailored suits, and now I'm wearing lost property suits that are 5 sizes too big for me. I'm trying to pull off as being a journalist to get out of this prison. Emotional about this story is that it's true. This is a true story, and this happened in 2015, where this man and a group of people, they got executed by a firing squad. So it's not. I say it's not a spoiler alert, because the clues in the name of the film. But that actually, unfortunately, that did happen to him.
Oh my goodness! So it's a good thing that he did give his life to God, because at least we know that now he's he's living that eternal life. I've always kind of thought God doesn't promise us the next day. He doesn't promise us tomorrow. I have no idea if I'll be alive tomorrow, but He does promise us eternal life if we give ourselves to the Lord. So it's a good thing that happened. Now, Christian movies have begun to really kind of rise up in their quality. A lot more are being made. What do you think is kind of causing that?
I think it's the day and age that we live in today. I think people, whatever your political standpoint is, whatever your outlook on religion and your faith is, I think people are kind of having enough of what they're seeing out there, what they may be subjected to. And I think from an adult's point of view, they're looking out for what children of tomorrow are seeing, right? And we're even kids are exposed to a lot more than what I was exposed to as a child, whether you like it or not. It's you can't stop it. So I think there's what I said on an interview. I said, there's nothing wrong with a film with a good message. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not going to hurt anybody. So, give it a chance. Let these films get out and get out there. And if people want to see them, fine. If they don't want to, that's their prerogative. But at least it's out there. Right.
Now, what is next for you? What you have any plans for your next film already? You got something in the works?
I shot a movie a few months ago, a film in the UK, which is a crime thriller film set in the 20s. It's a film a bit like an Orson Welles style, Agatha Christie crime drama. So I've got that coming out to streaming platforms, should be end of the year, early next year. So and working on a few different projects as well coming out, which I can't say.
Okay. Yeah, that's always fun in these interviews when I ask that question. Well, there's all these projects, but I just can't tell you anything.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
Well, listen, The Firing Squad, now, by the time people watch this program, actually, it will have already come out in theaters. It may not be there anymore. If it is, look for it and get to the theater and watch it before it's gone. But if it is gone already, of course, I'm sure it's going to be on streaming. I guess wherever movies are streaming. Probably the best thing to do is to go to the website, which is FiringSquadFilm.com. That's FiringSquadFilm.com, and I'm sure you'll find all the information that you need there to be able to know what's happening with this movie beyond the theater. Well, listen. Thanks so much for joining me today, to taking a little time. I noticed that you are out there in some beautiful weather, I guess. You're in California, right?
Absolutely lovely here. I mean, it's 80 degrees, Los Angeles on that, right in the center of Hollywood. And it's beautiful. Yeah, it could be worse places, to be honest.
Fantastic. Well, again, thank you very much for joining us today, all right?
Thank you very much, my friend. You take care.
You bet. We'll be right back, folks.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
Hey, Faith on Films, Kevin Sorbo here. I'm on the set of The Chosen at Capernaum Studios, and I'm shooting a little ad here for Ingenuity Films. But it's good to be here and good to hang out, and I will see you guys soon once you do another interview with me.
I love Kevin. He was at Capernaum, and I was like, can I get a quick grab from you to shout out to Faith on Film? He goes, sure, Holly. I can't wait till we interview him. He's got so many films and doing so many things these days. He is the popular, Christian actor, director, producer. He really is. And a fun guy. So nice. And speaking of a nice guy, I had a chance to interview Chris Sanders, and he did a movie, The Wild Robot, directed it. It's an animated film by Universal. But Chris, you may recognize him. He's done Mulan, The Croods. He's been involved with so many animated stories. And he's even the voice of Lilo and Stitch. If people love the Lilo and Stitch movies, he's the voice of that. But we got a great interview with him. But let's play the trailer first so people can learn more about The Wild Robot.
All right.
Incident report. At 0300 hours, a number of Universal Dynamics robots were lost in a typhoon. Chance of recovery is unlikely.
Do you need assistance? Aggression detected. I see your problem. Processing language.
You need to learn how things work on this island.
Hello.
Goslings imprint on the first thing they see. Which would be you? You're his mother now.
I do not have the programming.
No one does. He needs to swim and fly.
Swimming's easy. I can teach him the way my mom taught me. Swim! He's a runt. His chances aren't super good.
I will protect him. He's got to leave this island by fall.
Right, Bill?
It is more dangerous for him than anyone else. But he has a chance. If where his wings end, his heart can pay the balance.
You are not easy to find. You are defective. I feel fine. You should not feel anything at all.
Mom? No!
Sometimes, to survive, we must become more than we were programmed to be. I will protect all of you.
You are ordered to return home.
I am already home, and I am a wild robot.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chris. Actually have interviewed you before for some wonderful films, How to Train Your Dragon, Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Mulan. It's been long. This is a beautiful, beautiful film. Excited to see you involved with it. And the book, kids have read the book, The Wild Robot. How is your movie different, or is it much like the book?
I think it's mostly like the book. I think in the adaptation from page to screen, you're always going to have to do something. A film is a very disciplined thing. You only have an hour and a half, and I wanted to make sure that the main messages and the main themes had room to really breathe. And I wanted everything to unspool at a pace that felt natural. So I trimmed some characters back. I did add a few things. I wanted at a certain place, I wanted a little bit more plot. But I think anybody who's read the book will absolutely recognize everything on screen.
And the kids will enjoy it. It's beautifully done. You have got a stellar cast: Lupita, Pedro, Kit, Bill Nighy, Catherine O'Hara, Ving Rhames. I just kept going, wow, because you recognize the voices. How did you get this cast, especially choosing Lupita and Pedro?
Well, first, full credit to our amazing casting director, Christy Soper. I'm not the best at this, but she is. It's what she does, and we got really, really lucky. I think that Peter Brown's book and his story absolutely hooked everybody. And so everybody that was our very first choice said yes. So we were very, very fortunate in that.
This story it's beautifully told, but it does have some really interesting, heavy themes that relate with today's culture. How long in the process were you getting this film done? And then what are your reaction to how much it really parallels what's going on today with, people hating and assuming because you're a certain type or a certain way and, showing love and out of your programming. Kids will like it for the kids' sake, but adults, I think, are really going to go, wow, this is right on with today's kind of culture.
I agree. As we were working on it, the relevance of the story really it struck us all as we were working on it. The amount of time was about perfect. You want about 4 years or less. You don't want too much time. You don't want too little time. So this was really the ideal production in every way.
Every way. The several different themes. In fact, the fire scene, I won't be giving much away, but there was a fire scene. I kind of found it peaceful in a weird way. It was just beautifully done. The illustration on this, talk a little bit about what people will be surprised to see. I don't think it's your typical animated story.
No, the technology at DreamWorks had come to a point where we could get away from that CG look. And to me, that was really, really critical because as I read the book, I had a rather sophisticated, I think, imagery that was going through my head. So the technology has been pushed to the point where every single thing on screen is painted by a human hand. The plants and the animal surfaces are all hand painted. And the effect is like nothing I've ever seen before. It's not often that you could say this, and maybe I'll never be able to say it again, but nobody has ever seen anything like this before. I guarantee people who see this will be absolutely stunned by how it looks.
I was, and I agree with you. I've seen a lot of films over the years. This is one of those that stands out. And last, I just have to ask you, as a writer, director, someone who's birthed the baby, now that you have it all together, is there a favorite scene or one that you particularly are very proud of that's came out like, wow, I love how this came out even more than what you expected?
It's going to sound like I'm making this up. Every single scene in this thing is my favorite. However, there's a sequence where this whole island is going to sleep for the winter, and Chris Bauer's music and the color of that sequence. It's not very long. It's only about maybe 10 shots, but it always gives me chills. It's one of the most gorgeous things I have flat out ever seen on screen.
It is, and thank you for mentioning the music because the music is phenomenal. Oh, I loved it. Chris, so much more that we could say, but my time is up. But thank you so much for sharing about The Wild Robot, and we look forward to encouraging everyone to go see it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Isaac, this is a beautifully animated film, The Wild Robot. It's rated PG. Now, folks, it's got some kind of heavier story ideas and themes in it, like a little bird being abandoned because the eggs were crushed, and so the family's been crushed. But this robot comes in and scoops the little bird up and the duck and takes it under its wing, so to speak, and becomes the mother figure. It shows animals going through winter. It shows, migration, and it's a storyline that has a lot of layers of who are you, hate. They talk about they hate you, they hate me, they hate you. But it's, you know, kind of that mentality of, and really mature things, kind of what's going on today in today's world, about people judge you for how you look. They don't know you for who you are. But let's be loving, let's be kind to people. So it's those kind of themes. I think the PG is appropriate really for kids probably 6, maybe, but 7, 8 and up will appreciate the storyline. And like I said, the animation is just beautiful. It's got beautiful scenes. Chris did an amazing job with this. So for parents who are thinking about taking your 3 and 4-year-old, not sure it's going to be one of those films. It's not the bright colors and the storyline that's real simple to follow. But for those mature kids and even adults and grandparents who appreciate beautifully done stories like this, it really is. It has a happy ending, but again, there's some intense parts. So I just think, you know, judge what your kids can see, and remember to choose your movies wisely when doing that. So that's what I would say as far as that goes. But you know, again, there's not language, you know, there's no characters that are, you know, questionable characters. It's just beautifully done, and hats off to Chris. He's such a professional. He really is, and I enjoyed the interview.
And that's very much appreciated, because nowadays you do have sometimes even animated movies that are supposed to be for kids that just, I mean, you know, it would make even me uncomfortable. You know, bad language and sexual situations, and it just is very difficult. So it's great to see a movie, questionable characters. We won't get into what we mean by that, but it's good to see a movie that everybody can see that way.
Love this movie and can support it. And so anyway, again, that's The Wild Robot. It'll be coming out in theaters, and I'm sure streaming. So again, this is something that grandparents can, I think a grandparent will really love taking their kids to. So I want to support it. And you know, Isaac, another thing I'd like to mention that I know you're very modest about is that we are in the presence, folks, of a magazine superstar. He was featured in Vogue, Christianity Vogue. And for those of you who have not seen the cover, he looks like a real director-producer with his hat. And go check it out. Very proud of what Isaac has done and his career that they highlighted for years and years and years in the industry. So anyway, hats off. Where can people go see that, Isaac?
Good question. You totally caught me by surprise on that one. But I think if they
it's Vogue.
Look up Vogue. Yeah, look up Christian Vogue, I think, or just Vogue magazine or something like that.
It's on Facebook. Christian Vogue is on Facebook, and so they can go check that on Facebook, right?
Yes, I'll put the link on the bottom here after when I go to edit this show. I'll put the link at the bottom. So, but
well, I knew you were modest. I knew you were modest. You would never agree to me mentioning that, but that's why I was like, hey, everybody, go see, check him out. I'm very proud of that he got mentioned and featured, and as you should be.
Thank you. And on that note, Holly, it's time to say goodbye.
Time to say goodbye. Another great show.
Bye, folks.
God bless.
Write to us at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Faith on Film TV. Also, go to our YouTube channel, Faith on Film TV, and hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications on our latest Faith on Film shows.